Welcome to our audio podcasting masterclass. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the entire process from getting a USB microphone or audio interface to recording your audio podcast, either solo or with remote guests, how to edit that audio content quickly and easily, and where do you publish it to get it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Music. If you'd like to jump to a specific part in the process, just use the chapters you see down here. And as I talk about USB mics and other gear, you'll see links in the video description below. Now let's start out talking about microphones. You can use the built-in microphone on your mobile device or your computer, and that can sound okay. You can even use features like Riverside's Magic Audio to make that built-in mic sound studio quality. But if you're doing an audio-only podcast, that audio quality is a significant factor in your audience's experience. So we would recommend picking up a USB microphone. A USB microphone doesn't have to be expensive. This is the Audio-Technica ATR 2100X. It is usually $50 on Amazon, and this is going to get you significantly better audio quality than the built-in microphone on your device. On the bottom of the microphone, you'll see a USB-C connector here and an XLR connection here. That's for more advanced setups that use audio interfaces. When you're just starting out, a USB microphone will do just fine. And you can buy professional sounding USB microphones as well. For instance, if you wanted to upgrade the sound quality of your podcast, we would recommend using the Shure MV7 Plus. This microphone sounds really good, has those same connectors on the bottom, USB-C to connect it to your computer, iPhone or iPad, an XLR connection for audio interfaces in the future, and a place to connect your wired headphones. This also comes with a windscreen, and you can attach it to a microphone mount right here. You can buy these with a microphone stand, and again, links to that is in the video description. If you want that upgraded sound, the Shure MV7 Plus is usually around $270, but this will take you a long way in your podcasting career. We'll work on connecting those microphones to a laptop in a moment, but if you ever wanted to record with multiple in-person guests, maybe you and a co-host are in the same room, you can buy an audio interface like this one. This has two XLR connections on the back, one for you as the host and another for your guest. Plus, you can connect this to a computer, iPad, or even iPhone, and use this interface to record your audio. When it comes to connecting a device like this, you'll need an XLR cable. One side plugs into the interface like so, and the other end connects to your microphone like so. Connect two microphones like this to the audio interface, and then you can record with multiple people in the same room. This is a more advanced setup, and if you're recording solo content, or you're strictly recording with remote guests, so you're the only one in the room, you likely do not need an audio interface like this. We would really recommend sticking with a USB microphone, and for even high quality, that Shure MV7 Plus is a great option. One of the reasons why we recommend this microphone and the ATR 2100X before is these are more forgiving of your environment. Like I mentioned, an audio-only podcast should really focus on audio quality, and if you don't have a treated room like I have here, with our sound panels on the wall, rug on the floor, and minimal reverb or echo, some microphones, known as condenser microphones like the Blue Yeti or other condensers, can pick up a lot of room noise and makes your sound reverby or echoey. If you have the budget to add sound paneling to a room, that can expand your choices of microphone. Aside from your microphone and computer or mobile device, which you'll use to record, we would also recommend getting a pair of headphones. These can be very inexpensive headphones, but getting wired headphones can make a big difference. Wired headphones can be plugged into USB microphones like the ones we mentioned, and they allow you to monitor your own voice as well as hear any remote guests you'll be recording with in Riverside. When you first start podcasting, hearing your own voice as you record, and even in the editing process, can be a little jarring. I actually have an entire video explaining why you don't like hearing the sound of your own voice. You can check that video out up here if you're interested, but doing it more often will help you get used to it, and it's important to be able to know what your voice sounds like in your microphone. That will help you with mic technique, making sure the microphone is the proper distance away from your mouth. And if there's anything wrong with your devices, like there's clicking or popping, you'll hear it in your headphones, and then you'll be able to fix it before you start recording an hour long or more content. You can use wireless headphones like AirPods, but you will not be able to monitor your own voice when you use these, and you also have to worry about battery life and other considerations when using wireless headphones. So while it's possible to use these, we would recommend just getting an inexpensive pair of wired headphones. So we have our microphone and headphones, now let's connect them to our computer so we get ready to record. Most laptops or desktop computers will have USB-C ports on the side. If you don't have these and only have the longer rectangle USB-A ports, there's adapters you can get, and we'll link those in the description as well. You'll want to connect one end of the USB-C cable into your computer, and then connect the other end into your USB microphone. You should see the microphone light up like so. You might see some permissions pop up on your computer. Click Allow to make sure your USB mic can connect, and you'll use it to record. Now let's plug in our wired headphones directly into the USB microphone, and all of our gear is set up. If you have a microphone stand, you can attach that to your mic, put it on your desk, and you're ready to record. Next, let's open up the application to record our podcast, which of course should be Riverside. You can record and edit your content with Riverside completely for free. So let's go to riverside.fm and let's go over to log in. Here you can log in with a Google account, Apple, or your Spotify account, or you can create a new account here on Riverside. When you first log into Riverside, there'll be a studio already created for you with some sample content. But let's create a new studio so we can record an audio-only podcast. I'm going to click the plus button here in the studio list on the left, and let's call this Audio Podcast. Here there's actually a toggle to record only audio. You'll still be able to see the video of you and your remote guests, although you can disable those cameras as well, but this means this studio will only record audio. If you ever think you might want to use some of the video footage to create vertical videos and clips to share on things like Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts, maybe keep this toggle off, and then you can record the video just in case. But if you really want to make sure only audio is recorded of your content, you can toggle this on to be sure. You can choose your transcription language here, and let's create our studio. You'll see the audio podcast studio we just created is now in the left-hand sidebar. Let's get right to recording our content, and then we'll jump into the editor later. I can click the record button right here, and that will send me to the lobby and then studio to record my audio content. If you're going to invite a remote guest, like a co-host or interview guest to record with you, click the Invite to Record button here, and you'll see the option to copy the guest link. Send that link to your remote guest or co-host. They can open that in Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge web browsers, or even in the Riverside app on their iPhone, iPad, or Android device, and they can record with you. This link also never changes, so if you have a co-host you'll be recording with every week or every month, then they can just save this URL in a calendar event and always join you in the studio with that link. You can also write someone's email here and send an invite, which will also send instructions on joining the Riverside studio. Now that we've invited our guests, let's jump into record by clicking the record button here. Now by default, you'll see the camera is enabled. If you'd like to turn that off, just click the camera icon, and now your camera is off and won't be seen by you or your remote guests. They can also turn off their camera, but if you'd like, again, just for vertical clips or promotional material, you can even choose your mobile device, a USB, or built-in camera, and have that here in the studio. Now for the microphone and speaker, since we plugged in our USB microphone, the Shure MV7 Plus, I'm going to select that as both the microphone and the speaker. The reason why is we want the audio of our remote guest to go through the USB mic into our wired headphones. That's why we chose the microphone as both the mic and the speaker. Because we're using headphones, I'll click I'm using headphones. If you can't use headphones or don't have any available, you want to make sure to choose I am not using headphones because that will turn off echo cancellation. That means when your remote guest is speaking and coming through your computer speakers, it won't get re-recorded into your microphone. So if you don't have headphones, be sure to let Riverside know here. Otherwise, if you're using headphones, even wired headphones, choose I'm using headphones and let's join the studio. Now we are in the Riverside studio ready to record. If you still need that invite link to invite a co-host or interview guest, you can click invite here, copy that link and send it, or if you X out of that window, your invite link will always live up here and you can copy it and share as well. Now, even though you're doing audio only, you can still live stream using Riverside. You can use Riverside's built-in audience mode or connect social platforms and stream your podcast live. If you'd like to learn more about live streaming with Riverside, you can check out the video linked above or in the description. I'm going to send this link to a remote guest, and you'll see they joined me here in the studio. Now they turned off their camera as well, so we're recording audio only. Now if we look in the right-hand sidebar here, this is the People tab, where we'll see ourselves and any remote guests. Seeing the audio levels right here means that it's getting our microphone audio and we're being recorded in high quality. If you ever wanted to message your co-host or interview guest privately, you can use the chat here on the right-hand side, send them instructions, or maybe let them know to stop leaning or tapping on their desk because their microphone is picking it up. Also here on the right-hand side, the media board allows you to upload audio clips, MP3s, and play them during the recording, and it'll be put all together in the Riverside editor. You can upload that media here, and that will actually be a separate track in Riverside. Going back to the People tab, if I scroll down to my co-host or remote guest, I can actually scroll down and see what microphone and speaker they're using. If they have a microphone connected to their laptop, like a USB mic, but it's not selected here, I can warn them before we start recording. Keep in mind, once you hit the record button, you cannot change your microphone or speaker device. So you want to make sure everyone has the proper microphone selected before you start recording. I can also see their audio levels here in the green meter. And if I see that going, I can hear them, they can hear me, we're ready to start recording. One last thing before you start recording is you may want to add audio files to the media board in your Riverside Studio to play while you record. You can do this by going to the Media tab here in your Riverside Studio, and then you can upload MP3 files up to 100 megabytes, and then you can play those either as an intro to your podcast, transition music, or something you'd like your co-host or interview guest to hear, and this will all be carried over into the Riverside editor. You can preview any of the audio clips here, and then turn it to live, and it will play in the studio for everyone. Every time you play an audio clip here in the media board, you'll actually get an individual track in your Riverside dashboard. Now that we're all set, let's start, and after we press the record button, we'll get a 5-second countdown, and now we're off and running. You'll see the record button changed into a timer that's going up, letting you know how long you've been recording. And you'll see several recording icons around the interface. One here at the top, next to the name of your studio, and also a recording tag next to each person's name here in the People tab. You'll also notice an uploading percentage here and a percent uploaded under each person's name. When you record with Riverside, you're getting local, high-quality audio. Once you're done recording, you'll actually be able to download an uncompressed WAV file for the highest quality possible. Riverside does this by recording to your local computer or your iPhone, iPad, and Android device, and then uploading that high-quality audio file to your Riverside dashboard so you can access it later. Riverside uploads these files as you're recording, so if anything happens or someone drops out of the call, you still get the recording up to that moment, but depending on bandwidth, it might take a few moments once you're done recording for everyone's files to upload. So be sure to give any guests or interviewees a heads up that they may need to stick around a few moments after you press stop. We can play any media board files here. We'll see those both in the editor and on the Riverside dashboard. By the way, if there's an engaging moment of the podcast or something you know you'll need to edit out later, you can choose to mark the clip. You'll see a timestamp and that a clip was created from the marker, and you can see every marker you dropped in the editor, and will automatically create clips around each marker you set. You can also access the script or teleprompter as you're recording here, and if you wanted to share audio from an application or tab on your computer, and even though you're recording audio only, you can still share the screen of your computer for your co-host or guest to see, and even play audio in tabs like in a web browser. When we're done recording, let's press stop, and then you'll see the upload progress for everyone's files. Audio files tend to upload faster than video, so you will see your files are successfully uploaded pretty quickly here in this window, and upload complete at the top and under each person's name. Let's view our recordings by clicking the View option here. While your recording is processing for things like magic clips, which we'll go over in a moment, you can access your recordings by clicking into the recording, and here you'll see individual tracks for every person that was in the call. Click High Quality, and you can download the raw audio for each participant separately. That will download a high-quality, uncompressed WAV audio file. And on certain plans, you have the ability to generate magic audio. This will make any microphone sound studio quality, removing background noise, adjusting EQ and compressor, and more. At the top, you can preview your recording here, and every time you record with Riverside, video or audio-only content, you can get a full transcript and download it here, both in text format or in an SRT format, which is perfect for a YouTube video. And as you can see, we also got a separate track for that media board file we shared. I can download that separately, or the Riverside editor will put it all together. To show you more of the editing features, I'm going to go to another studio where I have multiple podcast episodes already recorded. When you record for 5 minutes or longer, you also have the feature to generate show notes from any recording. Clicking that button in just a few moments will give you keywords, a summary of the entire recording, some takeaways, possible titles, and even chapter timestamps throughout the episode. You can actually use these in your podcast host to automatically create chapter markers. We'll show you how to do that in a moment. Once the magic audio has finished processing, you can download that file separately as well. By the way, for every recording, including audio-only shows, you can generate a full episode edit right here. We'll use AI to clean up things like filler words and silences and get it almost ready to publish. And you can also generate magic clips even from your audio-only content. I'll show you how to create audiograms from your audio-only podcast in a moment. But let's jump into the Riverside editor, and I'll show you what it looks like to edit audio-only content. Even though you've recorded audio-only content, you get the full transcript here in the Riverside editor, and you can edit your audio just by selecting words and phrases, clicking delete, and now you've edited your audio file. Everything you do here is non-destructive, so as you edit and delete, you still have the raw files and you can always start over whenever you'd like. Some of the most helpful tools are here in the AI producer in the Riverside editor. You can set the pace, which actually lets you remove the perfect amount of silence. You can see how many pauses will be removed and how many seconds of silence. I like to go somewhere in the middle usually, then click Apply. Go back, and you can also apply Smooth Speech, which will remove all filler words and unwanted sounds. And to get a really clean edit, you can also choose Magic Mute, which will mute people's tracks when they're not speaking, helpful for cutting out background noise. And if you still want to generate magic audio, even here in the editor, you can do that here. Going to the Tracks option, you actually see every person's track here, and you can adjust the volume manually. Now we do have an option when you go to export called Normalize Audio, and Normalize Audio levels will try to make everyone the same volume. But if you want to granularly control those levels, you can do that under each person's track. You can also apply Magic Audio just to a specific person if you'd like. Once you've used the AI tools to do a lot of the editing for you, you can search the transcript for any moments you need to edit, search for a word or phrase, and we'll show you all the times it shows up here in the recording. And if you roll over those moments, we'll actually show you a little bit of context and the timestamp. You can also zoom in and out on the timeline using these controls here. Any markers that you set during recording, they show up as small dots here above the timeline. You'll also see we've auto-generated a bunch of chapters. This is great again for using in your podcast host, and you can copy that whole chapter list by clicking the 3 dots and then copy chapters list here. If you want to make a really precise edit in the audio, you can zoom in as far as you'd like and then actually cut and splice certain sections. I can use this tool here that will split the section. I can do that again, and then I can click the trash can to delete that little portion. Also, as you see the chapters here above the timeline, if you'd like to remove a chapter, click the 3 dots and then remove the chapter, or if you want to delete all the content in that chapter, click Delete Content, and we'll remove all the audio and that chapter marker and bring everything else in line. You can also add new chapters by clicking the chapter icon here, or anywhere in the transcript, place the cursor and then choose Add Chapter, title it, and you've added your chapter. We also have individual track editing. You can expand the tracks by clicking here, and then you'll see the waveforms for each participant. You can use the magic tools like Magic Mute, which we've already applied, and apply Magic Audio. You can mute a track if you would like. You can also solo and listen to only that track if maybe there's a lot of crosstalk and you need to make a precise edit. When you zoom in on an individual track, you can actually select a portion by clicking and dragging with the mouse, click the delete key on your keyboard, and you'll have removed just that portion of one track. Switch between the tracks, and when you're done editing, you can collapse them here. If you wanted to insert another audio clip, maybe like a sponsor break or a special message, you can click the plus icon between any 2 split sections, and you can pull from other recordings in your Riverside studio, other edits, upload an audio file, or even add music and generate AI voice clips in your voice. If I go to the recording section, I'll see all the recordings across my studios, and I can choose to insert one of those audio clips here. You'll see not only does it insert the timeline here at the bottom, but the transcript is also inserted right here. That means I can edit even that inserted clip like the rest of my content. You can see it's color-coded differently than the original clip I was editing, drag the in and out points, and I've inserted that audio clip. You can also insert an intro by clicking the plus at the beginning or at the end of the timeline. Finally, if you would like to add background music, we have an entire music library of stock royalty-free music. Click on any of those tracks, that will preview it, then click the plus button, and it will add it underneath your timeline here. You can move that background music wherever you would like, add multiple background clips, and you can drag the in and out points to make it the perfect length. Once you've made all your edits, go to the Export tab at the top right. You can export a WAV uncompressed audio file, which is high quality, or if you're uploading this to your podcast host, we would recommend using the MP3 format. If you didn't manually level the audio, you can use our Normalize Audio Level toggle here. If there's any background noise, you can use this toggle. And when we're ready, let's export this audio clip. Now we can go to our exports and start downloading those finished files, but I'd like to show you how to create an audiogram with your audio-only content. This will be great for promoting on social media and even sharing vertical clips on TikTok, Instagram Reels, and YouTube Shorts. I'm going to choose Keep Editing, and then at the top, I'm going to choose the vertical format, which is 9:16. Now you'll start off with a blank slate here, but the first thing we can do is actually add a background image. You can upload your own custom background image, or use one of our stock images, which are included in every Riverside studio. I'll use this as the background image. Now we can also add a logo, maybe your podcast artwork or something else. Let's add the Riverside logo, and now I can click and drag that wherever I would like in the frame. Make it smaller, and we have the beginnings of an audiogram. Next, we should probably add animated captions. Well, I can click the Captions tool here on the right. And you can see we have lots of styles to choose from. Let's choose this style here. And now we have lots of editing tools specifically for the captions. I can choose what color or invert I would like. Let's choose the font size, even go extra large. I'm going to go large for now. Increase the size of the captions window by clicking and dragging. You can even choose how many lines appear at a time. I'll go with 3 lines because this is an audio-only audiogram. Then you can choose an animation style for the active words. I like going with a boxed look and then changing the color of what word is being highlighted. You can go into all caps, right, left, or center justify, and then when I'm all set, I'm going to move these captions down towards the bottom. If I really like this style of captions, I can click the 3 dots here and actually save this to my captions presets. Then if I want to apply these styles quickly in the future, I can go to the captions menu here and you'll see my presets listed here at the top. You can also specify a captions preset for those magic clips that you generate back on the dashboard. Now we have animated captions, a vertical video, our logo here at the top, but I want to add one more thing to make it more visually interesting. Well, for that, I can actually use our image library, which you can search for any royalty-free images you'd like. We'll use context clues to try and give you some smart suggestions, and honestly, there's some pretty good ones. But I can also search for a word or phrase. Let's go with this picture right here. And with image overlays, I can resize them, then move it around the frame here, and now I have a visually engaging audiogram with images, our logo, and animated captions. You can add as many image overlays as you would like by going back into the Images tab, or you can go to the Uploads section and upload your own images or slides. I'll choose one from the Uploads. I can move this around, place it earlier in the timeline. I'll resize the image, put it in the middle, and now I have multiple image overlays along with animated captions, and I can post these clips on social media to promote my audio-only podcast. To do that, I'll go over to Export. Now I'll export a video here. You can go all the way up to 4K quality, but for vertical video, 1080p is just fine. Normalize audio levels, and then export this video. Now let's go back to our exports. You'll see here we have our audio-only export still preparing, and the vertical clip we just created here. Once we've exported that MP3 file of our audio-only podcast and any vertical clips we want to use to promote the show, it's time to upload it to our podcast host. A podcast host is where all your audio files live that are then distributed via RSS. Those are some technical terms. You don't need to be familiar with them, but you do need to choose a podcast host where you'll upload that MP3 file. A couple great options is Transistor.fm. You can try it free for 14 days, and then the lowest tier starts at $20 a month. Buzzsprout is another great option. They actually have a free tier where you can upload 2 hours each month, and they'll keep your episodes live for 90 days. Then depending on how many hours you plan to upload a month, you can choose your pricing tiers here. Or if you want to publish completely for free, you can use Spotify for Podcasters, which costs nothing to host your audio and video files. Podcast hosts like Transistor and Buzzsprout allows you to set up your podcast, even provide a podcast website, and it's easy to upload new episodes, and this is where you would drop that MP3 file. If you want specific walkthroughs of Transistor or Buzzsprout, we have videos we'll link below. But let's set up a free account with Spotify for Podcasters so we can host for free. When you sign up for Spotify for Podcasters, you'll need to do an initial podcast setup. You'll want to title your podcast. A little pro tip here, don't put the word podcast in your podcast title. Rather, just name your show, like Primary Technology or Movies on the Side. Put in your podcast description here, a few sentences to let listeners know what to expect. Put your author name, and then choose your podcast category, whether that's business, education, or technology. Click Continue, and you'll also want to upload podcast cover art. This is a square image you should make 3,000 by 3,000 pixels wide. Upload that cover art here, and that's what listeners will see in their podcast apps of choice. Now that we've set up our podcast, let's upload our episode. Click the New Episode button in the top left corner of the Spotify for Podcasters dashboard. Here's where you'll drop the MP3 file that you downloaded from Riverside. I'll choose the MP3 file from my computer, and while that file is uploading, give your episode title and name here, type in your episode description, and you can choose to publish this right now or schedule it for the future. Mark whether or not your episode has explicit content or promotional material, and you can even do things like add a season number and episode number if you're doing that kind of programmatic show. Once you've filled everything out, click Next. You can leave comments on, which those comments will come directly from Spotify listeners. Hit Next, and you're in the final review process. Once your audio file is processed here in Spotify, click the Schedule button in the bottom right, or Publish Immediately, and your episode will be live for everyone to hear. If you're hosting with Spotify for Podcasters, your show will automatically be in the Spotify app for listeners, but you do need to submit it to Apple Podcasts, and you can also submit it to YouTube to have your show in YouTube Music as well. in general, you want your podcast available in as many places as possible. So I'll show you how to get your RSS feed from your Spotify account and then submit it to Apple Podcasts and YouTube Music. Let's go to the settings of our podcast here, and then we want to go to the Availability tab. Under the Availability tab, enable the RSS feed distribution. Now you can copy this link and submit it to Apple Podcast and YouTube. You can go directly to this website by visiting podcastconnect.apple.com. This is what you'll first see when you log into Apple Podcast Connect. You do need an iCloud account, so if you don't have one, you could create it on that main screen. You can name your account whatever you would like, and we're ready to add our podcast. Click Add Show, and this is where we'll submit an RSS feed. Click Next. Let's paste the link that we got from our Spotify for Podcasters account, and we'll click Add. You do need to have at least one episode live and published for Apple Podcasts to accept your RSS feed and allow you to publish it. Apple will spend a couple days approving your RSS feed, and then you'll be able to log back into Apple Podcast Connect and click the Publish button. If you'd like a really in-depth tutorial on Podcast Connect and all the metrics and options available to you there, I have an entire video. I'll link it above and in the video description. The last place you might want to submit that RSS feed is YouTube. To do that, create a free YouTube channel. You will need a Google account for that. And then you'll want to go to studio.youtube.com to set up your channel. Once it's all set up, click the Create button in the top right corner and choose New Podcast. If we're just doing audio-only content, let's submit the RSS feed that we got from our Spotify for Podcasters account. YouTube will walk you through this process, and you'll want to use that RSS URL we got from Spotify. YouTube will have you verify ownership, and then whenever you post an episode to your podcast host, like Spotify for Podcasters, that audio episode will be uploaded as a video here to the YouTube channel, and it will use your podcast artwork as the image that's shown throughout. And that's the entire process, from connecting a USB mic to your computer all the way to recording and editing with Riverside, and then publishing on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Now, if you'd like to hear the benefits of having a video component to your audio podcast, especially for growing your audience and getting the word out on your show, I have an entire video on that right up here. Don't forget to subscribe to the Riverside channel and hit that like button. If you have any questions on the entire podcasting process, leave comments below this video. I answer those personally. And if you want to learn even more about microphones and setup, maybe even building an in-home studio, I'll put one of the videos on in-home studio setups right up here. Thanks for watching. We can't wait to hear what you create.